Right after I built my gaming PC, I started looking into the gaming industry. I was covering Tom Clancy's The Division. I was still kind of like, trying to see if I would want to talk about the gaming industry at large. And I ran into some data sets. That data set put me on a path where I actually said a few crazy things. Number one, that PlayStation probably needed to go ahead and explore putting the Spider Man game on PC. Now, even prior to this, Insomniac had already tweeted to somebody that the Spider Man game would never make its way to Xbox or PlayStation or PC, sorry, because it was a permanent PlayStation exclusive. Little did they know that the industry was going to change significantly. Now, if you were paying attention to what you saw when the video started, you'll realize that this report is one that must be noted very heavily. It's the one that pretty much cleans up a lot of this nonsense narratives. Do y'all remember that just a few days ago, or maybe last week, Matt Piscatella reported that the game Monster Hunter Wilds had shown that Capcom was seeing more of its sales coming from the PC platform than the two consoles. Just now, or I guess today, CD Projekt Red basically opened up some of its financials from its earning call, and we got to see a few things. The one that is of note to me, because it's been following the data that I saw 8 years ago in 2016-17, by the way, is that the split in terms of Cyberpunk 2077 sales shows that PC by itself had about 62% of its purchases on that platform. 26% went to PlayStation. Keep in mind that the game did go through a lot on PlayStation. Yes, but it came out on the PS4 and it came out on the PS5, but the PS4 version was not good. The developers should have taken their time to cook that thing up, and if need be, probably a staggered release might have worked, but it seemed like there was a lot of pressure for a simultaneous release. The developers at Hogwarts Legacy, Avalanche Software, they did it the best. I think their approach helped them out. 12% on Xbox, which is quite surprising in a good way, I guess. I mean, if you think about it, the ratio is supposedly higher. Well, it's now higher, but at the time, the new console generations were just pretty much coming. And, by 2024, anyways, the end of 2024, we had already established how the trend was going to go. So this is actually not bad. It's literally almost half of the PlayStation purchases. And the whole conversation now leans on this thing where can anybody now in their right minds ignore the PC ecosystem and still be able to be, relevant in their own way? I don't think so. I think a lot of folk, right now, in terms of the whole conversation, are probably thinking differently. In fact, there are some crazy predictions that I saw that I made that I thought to myself, man, these will probably not even, materialize. But seeing how the PC ecosystem continues to grow, to me, really does, continue to signal that these companies are going to continue to do business on the PC ecosystem, and there's no longer any going back. So it shows a few things here. Anybody who's investing in the PC ecosystem right now is quite smart in the way that they're doing it. Be it PlayStation, be it Xbox, I think they are both on the money when it comes to the PC platform. Not here to, basically talk about who I think is favorable in any instance. I'm just pointing out that even PlayStation's own approach has been, in my opinion, quite solid. I wish they would be more aggressive because I know that from what we've seen on here on Steam has provided for the most part a positive light for them. Even though Helldivers 2 caused them a lot of, potential favorability on the PC platform, there are still people who would be open to taking into, or adopting PlayStation games. They're not going to be against it. Some people usually don't take hard stances like that. Yes, some do, but there are people who would still patronize these games. And so when you think about it, they need to pretty much keep that approach here on the PC platform, but they also need to remember something. The day and date reality is one that can grant them this level of success for their own PC platform games. Now, how do they want to go about it? How do they want to leverage it? Because if you think about a game like this, The game sold 30 million units. Let me see. Yeah, it sold 30 million units in terms of its copies by the end of November 2024, and Phantom Liberty sold about 8 million copies. Now, yes, there's a seemingly, there's an apparent disparity here, but it is what it is. It's still an additive because Phantom Liberty sold for about $30. I don't know if it went any lower than 30 in terms of the DLC. But can PlayStation continue to rely on just its own audience to pay for or support its first party games, seeing exactly where they are? I mean, the last time we looked at Gematsu with their financial report on the Q4 earnings for PlayStation first party games, we did see that PlayStation needs to actually stitch up this particular area. And that particular area that they need to stitch up is the one here where their own first party sales seem to be dwindling. I've also seen some people say that, well, that's not their major area of business. But I'm like, well, then what is their major area of business? They say it's the 30% of games that they're making from other titles. Ladies and gentlemen, that 30% is a very measly small amount. I mean, we can sit, let's go ahead and sit here and let's just calculate the darn thing, because all this talk is just so wild to me, because it's very it's not all the time you get a big hit like a Cyberpunk 2077, right? So 30 million units sold, right? And only 26% of them was PlayStation. So pretty much only 7 million units sold on PlayStation, right? Now, if CD Projekt Red at the time when the game came out, they sold it for $60, if we just say all the copies were $60, we know that they're not all $60. Some of them were probably purchased on sale. That's $468 million. Now, you multiply that by 30, that's still, a very interesting, 468, where did my numbers go? 468 million times 30%. So, hold on. I hit enter and then it just did this. Times 468 million. I'm gonna hit enter in a different way. So that's $140 million in terms of that. But again, all of these were not they were not $60 sales. Many of them would have been half. Many of them would have been different. I mean, you can even see the cut here. I don't even know. This says the revenues. It says revenue sales by hardware, and then I think there's actually more to be looked at. But it shows that in 2020, PC, almost every year, PC was basically, bludgeoning everybody. Wow, why did PlayStation look low? I think it was a PlayStation 4 issue there. And then by 2021, it had already pretty much gone up a little bit. And 2022, it was down. 23, when Phantom Liberty came out, it was down. And then 2024, it was a little higher. So again, that 140 million, like we were saying just now, even if that's what they got from Cyberpunk 2077, they would have had to get that 140 million if you look at the percentages in the given years, right? So the very first year, it came out December. So the very first month was only 13% of whatever sales at the time. So that would basically be, amortized over about 4 years, right? So it's not like they're getting all that money. They're getting 35 million a year. Now, everybody knows that these PlayStation games, they cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, and they also have costs to deal with. This is exactly where they cannot just sit down and be waiting for a Cyberpunk 2077 to actually come out, because they're going to have to, cut, and it's not 35 million. I just gave the 60% is amortized over multiple years before many of these games can actually see it. Some games see this amount of sales, but they're not common. Elden Ring, Hogwarts Legacy, they're not the norm. And so with the other games and the other titles, these numbers are probably, very interesting as well. Yes, in Q4, they sold about 89, in terms of their software, about 89 million software sales in that regard. I think it came out to be a few $billion or so when it came down to, to that. But that's their combined, software sold. But their 30% from it, and then their expenses are showing that they really need some work to do in all of this. And I think that they can pretty much, do they can pretty much make it up with their first party games. Those first party games need to be selling 15, 20, 30 million units like these third party games. But it seems like they can't do those numbers easily on the PlayStation platform. So this is why PlayStation has adopted PC. And I think this is also why Xbox has adopted PlayStation, because it's not just about, you know, being able to sell on your platform, because Xbox's own platform is showing, even from the Cyberpunk sales, that its platform is not even that big in terms of the sales out there. So it's leveraged PC for a number of years, which, like I said, both of them leveraging PC is a smart move. But now they've taken it even further where they want to now go leverage PlayStation. So this whole news about the whole thing is just very interesting at the end of the day. And it's kind of nice to see that the data trended this exact way, and I wasn't crazy when I first started talking about it. I'll let you guys go, and I appreciate you for watching the video. Thanks so much for your time and audience. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Oof, that's the number of developers that worked on the game. Peace out.